Hello students, we're working on Chapter 9, D1 and D2 in this video, and we're going to be looking at what is called a horizontal analysis and a vertical analysis. And a horizontal analysis will do a comparison between and across time, so 2028 compared to 2027, the earlier year. On a vertical analysis, it compares the same period. So we'll take our dollar amount and find out what a percentage is to the total assets, and then we'll do 2027. So each year is its own individual period and calculation. Okay, we're going to go back to horizontal analysis, and I want to show you that there's some little in between some of these cells there's a column that can be kind of hidden. Let's see, where is it at? I'm trying to get it to right. I'm having a hard time getting it to select right there. Well, between like G, there it is, it's right there. Right there, they've put in these little spacers and they're just kind of like empty columns. So really watch what column they tell you, or which cell they tell you to click in. Okay, we're on step 2, and what we're going to be doing is the formula equals, I'm in the wrong one. Okay, here we go, K8, just like I said, don't be in the wrong one, equals, we have K8 G8 minus I8, and that will give us a dollar amount. And then in cell M8 we're going to do a percentage, and when you do a percentage you take the whole, the whole divided by the part. So this is the part, the dollar change, and we're going to compare to the earlier year 2027 per the directions. So here's our part, here's our whole, and it's going to be part divided by whole. So we do equal sign here, K8 divided by I8, and we get a percentage. Okay, now in the next 3 or 4 steps what we're going to do is we're going to be copying this formula down into these different parts of the worksheet. So let's copy KH8 to KM, right click, copy, or you could click copy up here, and then it says highlight the ranges K9 to NTM, so I'm going to do that, hold down my control key and select here, and is it just to the 18, or no, it's down to M20, so all the way to the bottom here, and then we need to paste. And so normally you do a right click to paste, and you can also go up here to paste, and I'm going to go up here to paste so I can show you what the icon looks like. It's not the first one, not the second one, but it's this one here, formulas and number formatting, and I will click that, and then everything got copied down. I hit my escape key to get the ants off of there. Okay, so now that's pretty good. And the next step, on step 5, let me just show you something, that when you copy something here and then I'm going to paste it, if you look up here, there is no numbering and format. Here's formulas, but there's no number and formatting. So you have to I got to get this little menu for you again. If you go down here to paste special, you'll find the numbers, formulas and number formatting. It's that third option right there. So I just wanted to show you the 2 different ways that you could get to that. Okay, so we're set here and we're now in step 5. That was just an explanatory thing that I was doing there. Okay, highlight ranges C12 to C19. So C12. Okay, so I click here and I think I'm in C, but actually I'm in D, so I want to come over here to C and select down. Uh-oh. I used my arrow key and it went all the way to there. C. And we want to go all the way to 19. Okay, I've got that. And then you hold down your control key and we're going to hold down control, and I went all the way down. So I've got two parts selected. So select that, hold your control key down and select that. Okay, and I need to come up one. There, I went up one, C19, and I'm going to do insert. I have charts here, and if I look, here's my column or bar chart. And I want to do a 3D clustered column. Here's a clustered column right here. And the next thing I want to do in step number 6 is to drag it kind of out of the way and up here. You don't have to hit it exactly, but it's just going to be up next to there. And then it wants us to make it a little bit bigger to bring it down to V16, right about there. Okay, we're good. That they're just putting in some of these steps so you can learn how to do these things. So if you wanted to make this a little bit bigger, you just want to be able to drag it and make it bigger. We are now on step number 8, and we're going to go into chart design, data, select data. So right now, do you see anything up here where it says chart design? No, you don't. But as soon as I click in the chart area, not down in here, but up here, like there's different parts to this chart. There's a chart title, there's this data area, see what got highlighted, then we have a legend, and we have a vertical axis. So there's a difference between selecting right in here with this data here or up here in the white area. So click in the white area, and then we get this menu up here, chart design, and then we have data, the data group, and we're going to select our data, and it says highlight the range C12 to C18, and then control and select down to 18. Now they're just having us do this so that we learn how to change the data if we wanted to. Originally they should have said just go to 18 and we would have been done with it, but they're having us do these extra steps so you can learn that you can change the range while you're in here. And then we click OK. So what I did is we're removing this total expenses right here. See these numbers right in here? We're eliminating those. So I'm going to say OK. Alright, so step number 9. With the chart selected, remember we're going to click here, and I got my chart selected. Click Chart Elements button, which is the plus sign. Chart Elements, Formatting, and Filtering. So you can get to these things here, you can get to them this way, or you can go into Chart Design and you can do chart elements over here and layouts. So there's a couple different ways to do things, and they're going to have you do them different ways just so you can see how they work. Okay, so we got chart selected. We want to click the chart elements, and now it says add a check mark next to chart title. If you see right now there's no title on this whole chart, and then we've added it to here, and then we can replace this default chart title with the word expense change. I'm on step number 10. So this is a text box, and you just come in here and highlight that and then type expense change, and that adds a new title, and then you just click outside that box, and now we have a title for our chart. Okay, let's click outside here. This chart is all done. So see, let's look at it a little bit before we go to the next one. How much has rent expense changed? Well, if we look right here, the percentage of rent change has been 0. Cost of goods, that has really gone up. No change here on auto. 655 change in utilities, so utilities have changed. Supplies have been good. In fact, we're paying less for the in 2028 than we did in 2027. Telephone expenses have gone up, and then we had miscellaneous. So if you look at this and you're analyzing it, you'd say, gee, where we have to really look at our expenses are in the cost of goods. How come those went up so high? And that's what an analysis is, that you're looking at this data in a visual way so that you can compare and make assessments and an analysis of the data. Okay, let's go to step 11. We're going to switch over here to vertical analysis. And in this one, we're going to select K8, and we're entering equal signs, G8 minus excuse me, divide G13. So this is G13 down here. But because it's relative right now, the next time we copied this, it'll go to this cell, down to this cell, down to this cell, and be a problem. So we want to make it absolute. You can type in a $sign in front of the that is not supposed to be G13. Oh yes, it is. Excuse me. Type $signs in front of them, or use your function key if you have a laptop, and F4, and it will create an absolute. So we're going to compare all of these numbers to this number. That's why we're making this an absolute number. Press our enter key, and cell G13 is used here. Okay, now in cell L8 equals I8 divided by I13, and make it an absolute with the $signs in front of it. Okay. So look at this, 100,000, it's almost 100,000 divided by 50 would equal about half, 50%. So those numbers seem right. This said like 10%, and you'd say 50 out of 100. You would know that that's not quite right. So always look at your numbers and see if they're a little bit logical. Step 13, we're going to copy range K8 to L8. So select it, copy. I right click to get my copy, and then select range K9 to L13. And we're going to go to, this time, home, clipboard, paste, formula and number formatting. We're done with that part. Now in cell K15, we're going to compare G15 with G18, our total amount down here. So these were assets that we did up here. Now we're going to do the liabilities. So this equals G15 divided by G18, make it into a absolute number, and then in cell Okay, I just erased that, sorry there, equals this divided by this F4, and now we're going to do equals this divided by I18, make it absolute, press enter, and now we have 30% and 22%. Okay, so now we can compare in 2028 how much was the cash. 51% of what we had was cash. How much of what was in land? 11% of our assets were in land. Okay, and then the money that we owe, 30% were in accounts payable, and then the capital probably will, we're not doing the capital though, I don't think. Okay, so we are now on step 15. Copy the range K15 to L15. K15 to L15. Copy. Select the range K17 to L18. Right click. Go to this. Well, now it's showing up here for us. We're going to copy. Oops. Copy. Paste, and this time it's here. You didn't have to go into paste special. Copy. Paste special. There we go. And you always end up with 100% down here. You'll always end up with 100% right here. The totals will always equal 100. That's a check for you to make. So the total assets and the total liabilities will always be 100%. Okay, so now it wants us to highlight the range K8 to K13. K8 to K13, and then it says tap F11. And so if you have a laptop, you have to hold down your function key usually. If you're just on a desktop with a keyboard, just press the F11. And that's a shortcut to create a table. F11 sometimes also will repeat an action. So we now have a table. So we could have done it a different way, but this is what they wanted to show you, is how the F11 key works for you. Okay, so now what we want to do is right down here, the tab says chart 1, and they want us to select this chart 1 and change it, the name to it, rename it to asset chart 2028. And you don't have to leave any spaces in there. You can just type it tighter than what it looks like there. So now we have our chart in a separate location right here. And I just want to point out something to you real quickly. Now this chart was made on a new chart, on a new page, or a new tab, I'm sorry. And if we wanted to move it, you can pick move here, and you can actually put it back into the horizontal analysis tape place, or else you can put it into vertical analysis. So this is a way of either making a chart all by itself, and it's almost a full page, and or else putting it back into the place where you have your numbers. And there would be all these different, however many tabs you have, there'd be choices there. So I just wanted to show you that you're capable of doing that. You're not going to make any changes with that. Okay, now what it wants us to do is to click in the chart area. We get chart design. We're going to click data, select data, and remember this is different than this data up here. It's this data over here. Select data, and it wants us to select the ranges C18 to C13. Oh, I'm sorry. I knew I was looking at this wrong. C8 down to C13. And then hold down your control key and do this amount over here. And then tap enter. And we've got on the axis, the horizontal axis, like we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We now have a series here that added that to it. Oh, let's try that again because we didn't get the names to show up. Okay, so select data and okay, let's see if we got it now. Okay, let's start over. We named our data. Here's number 17 and then number 18. We wanted to select K8 to K13. Okay, and then press our F11 key. That did our chart. And we now have 1, 2, 3 down here. And we're going to select our data, and then that brought us over here, and select that, and then select this here and say OK. And now we got what I wanted to see. We have cash, account, receivables, supplies, land, and total assets. Notice how this total assets is 100%. And then it wants us to change the chart title to asset percentages 2028, and I'm going to select it. It doesn't say to do this, but the font on this is way too small. Let's make this like 20. In fact, we can make it even a little bit bigger. There we go. Now it actually shows up, and that selects everything. So one thing that's kind of confusing about how they have us do this charts is that they're not having us select the correct stuff at the get-go, and they're adding it in so that you learn how to correct it as you go along. But had we made that selection at the first of the C column and the K column, then all of these labels would have shown up. And that's really what you would do in the first place. You wouldn't do one and then do the other unless you had to. Okay, but it's important that you know how to edit and how to change that. Okay, so that is exercise D1, and I'm going to do File, Save as, and I'm going to make this D2. Well, first I would have saved it as 1, and then I would save it as D2. And we're going to make some, we're going to work with line and pie charts and show you some cool things to do with the charts. So on the asset chart 2028, which is right here, okay, see the difference between an asset chart? I have like 1, 2, 3, and this is the one that is really the correct one. So I'm going to rename that asset chart 2028. And this one here, I'm just going to delete. Okay, now I got the correct one with the right amount things on there, what we ended up at the very end. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to click on this tab. We want to click out here in the table and get chart design, and we're going to get change chart type, and we're going to switch it to all charts, which is right here. Instead of recommended charts, go to all charts and then choose pie, and we're going to have a 3D pie. If you look, here's 2D and this is 3D, and click OK. Okay, so that changed our pie type. This half here and this half here, this is the total amount. When we saw that large bar that went way up high, this is that amount. So normally you don't put your totals in with your chart. So we're now going to probably take out this here. So again, we need to select our data. So chart design, select data, go over here and select the range C8 to C12. See how I'm not going to pick up the total assets? And then I'm going over to K8. Whoop. Hold down your control key to make the selection. And now we're not picking up the total assets. And we're going to say OK. And switch row and column. If that turns out all blue like that, it's a switch column type of error. Okay. Alright, we're on step number 5 on page 278, and we're going to check chart design, chart layouts, which is over here. We're going to add a chart element, and notice these little arrows right here. That always means that there's more to come. There's like chart title, you can pick here, above chart, below chart, centered, data labels, and then we go to legends and we have some options here. So we want to click bottom. We want the legend to be at the bottom. See if it's on the left side, if it's on the top. See it underneath the assets there. To the right, none, right, left, bottom. So here we are at the bottom. Just for you to know too, you can make them move these, and you can make them bigger too. They're not going into any of that, but that's a possibility. Okay, so now we want to go to the add elements, and we're going to do data labels right here, and we want to pick the outside end. And so now we have labels on the actual data. See how they're there? Again, if these were too small, like they are right now, you can make them bigger. So anytime you have a text box, you can make the size and move it easily. Okay, so that takes us all through 5, and we added a data legend, which is this down here, and we added data labels here. And now we can double click the chart area to open the format chart area task pane. So here's the format task pane, so we'll click the chart area. Okay, that just opened up the format here. Okay, so let me click outside of here and do this a little bit differently. Okay, so double click the chart area right here. I was inside of here, and it makes a difference whether you're out here or in here. Click your format chart area. That opens up this task pane, and whoops, there's actually supposed to be more here, so okay, click here. Here's the format that they want us to pick right here. Okay, now we have a ribbon here, and we can click Effects, and we're going to click on Effects 3D Rotation Y-axis. 3D rotation, and we want Y rotation. Right here is Y rotation, and we're going to make this bigger. Okay, so we've adjusted the rotation. Do you see? Let's change this back. See how it's flat? And then if you want to change the rotation, see what's changing in that. Okay, so now we're at 30. Okay, double click the chart title, and we're going to click fill. This is our fill and line, and we want to click fill, solid fill, and we're going to choose green from the palette. Over here is where all the colors are. So for example, if I wanted to make it gold, I could pick gold, or I could pick green. Or another thing is maybe a light green would be better. Okay, whatever you'd like. Oh, it wants the standard colors. Okay, so solid fill color. These are your standard colors here, so that's the green, but there we go. And then now it wants us to click Land New York Pie Slice. So Land New York. So let's look down on our legend, and we'll see Land New York is this blue right here. There's also blue cash, and remember we have a lot of cash and we have a little bit of land, so this is the one we want to select right here. And if I select once, do you see the little dots here? That's around the whole pie, and you have to double click it to make it go into just this slice. So one click selects the whole thing. 2 clicks will select this section of the pie. So you have to I didn't want to do that right now. I want to do it real quick. Double click, and that select this selection of the pie. but I can see that I have different things here. So let's switch to horizontal analysis tab over to here. Oh, I'm sorry. We're done with this here. And you can pull, I've just dragged that out like that. So you can double click that and then pull that piece of the pie out. Double click and then pull it out if you want. That way you can emphasize different parts of your chart. Oh, that does it all for this one. Now we're going to do a different chart. So we're on step 11. We'll go over to that and it says switch to the horizontal analysis tab and choose chart design. So we want to click in our chart. I'm going to close this window over here. So I'm in my chart. Choose chart design. Change chart type over here. And we are going to look at some lines. And you can see how that would look. And they want us to do lines with markers. These are the ones with lines with markers, the little points on them. They show the data points. Okay, and say OK. And now we have these different amounts on here. Okay, and it says that this is not a very good option for us to see what's going on, to see our expense changes, and they really want us to move it back into a cluster bar. So we'll go to chart design and change chart type, go back to bar and select clustered bar and say OK. And now it changed it so that it looks like this rather than the columns. It's displayed horizontally. Choose chart design, chart layouts, an element and grid lines, and we're going to put some grid lines on here. So we are going to go to chart design, chart layouts over here, add a chart element, grid lines, the little arrow to get some different ones, pick primary, major, vertical. I removed them. So it took off those lines. We have one little thing that's really odd though, was this right here. And so that is coming off of the backwards into 200 here. Okay, but this is all they want us to do with this right now. And I'm going to save my file. And go ahead and save it. And we're done with parts 1 and 2. Okay, so now we have just a couple more things to do with these charts, and it's really pretty simple and pretty cool what we're going to do, but I'm going to make another video to work on that. Okay.